About 2 years ago, I remember doing a practice speaking test with a particular student. I hadn't met him before, so when he entered the room, I asked him his name, to which he replied, "I have been being called Paolo all of my life." And I stopped and asked him, "Why didn't you just say, 'I am called Paolo'?" Well, and he replied, "I thought you had to show off a range of tenses to impress the examiner." And I said to him, no, that's not true. You need to use the tenses naturally as they're supposed to be used. So you can't just show off different tenses in or each different sentence. It is not going to make sense. So after that, he answered the questions much more naturally. But that is an example of a myth that could damage your IELTS speaking band score. And here are 7 more that, yes, I have heard students say all of these. So pay close attention, and I hope you don't believe any of these by the end of the video. So the first myth is that you need to sound British. Well, I know a lot of people would perhaps like to sound British, but it's not going to make you score any higher in the IELTS band scores. If you sound American, that's absolutely fine. If you sound like you're from your own country, so if you're Indian and you sound Indian, that's absolutely fine too. As long as you speak clearly and with the correct intonation, then it's absolutely fine. Now, I'm from Britain, but I sound very different from somebody from London. I'm from the middle of England. So even people from Britain sound very different from other people from different areas of Britain. So it's very difficult to learn to sound British anyway. And it's not something you need to try and do. Myth number 2, there is only one correct answer. Well, that's simply not true. In IELTS speaking questions, there is many ways to answer the same question. There is not one answer that you need to learn. It's not like maths where, one particular question only has one answer. There are many ways to answer questions, and you need to simply say what is true for you. Okay, myth number 3. You can't ask the examiners to repeat anything. You absolutely can. The examiners are allowed to repeat what they say. They are also allowed to give you synonyms for a particular word or the definition of a word. So that's it's actually a good thing to do. If you don't understand the question, ask them to repeat it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Myth number 4. Some examiners or test centres are easier than others. Again, this is not true. The IELTS organisation is extremely strict on this. They spend a lot of time and money making sure that the examiners in different countries assess you in the exact same way and to the exact same levels. So if you take a test in one country with one particular examiner, you will be able to go to another test centre in another country with a different examiner and get the same band score or very similar. So because it's such an important test, because universities use it, because immigration departments use it, it's very important to IELTS that they judge you consistently. So it's not easier to do it in one place or with one teacher than another place or another teacher. Myth number 5 is that Band 9 is for native speakers only. Well, it's going to be a lot easier to get a Band 9 if you are a native speaker, obviously. But you can get to a Band 9. Often it requires living in an English-speaking country to get things perfect, but it is possible. It is certainly possible for non-native speakers to get a Band 9 following a lot of hard work and exposure to the language. Myth number 6, you have to tell the truth. No, you don't have to tell the truth. Sometimes it helps to speak from true experiences because you can perhaps remember more, but you can actually make things up. The examiner is not going to know. They are not going to go and check. So you can make things up. They're only interested in the level of your English, so how well you can explain things, not if you've said something that's not true or not. So finally, myth number 7, you need to use lots of different tenses. Again, this is not the case. You need to show good control over the types of sentences and structures you're using, but it's going to sound very unnatural if you try to use 10 different tenses in your IELTS speaking test part 2. It's going to lower your band score, in fact, because you're not showing good control or using the tenses when they should be being used. So don't force the situation. Don't try to use different tenses. Just use the tense that makes the most sense when you're answering the questions. One good tip here is you can actually copy the tense that the examiner speaks to you in. So if he or she asks you a question, what did you do on your last holiday? Well, they have just asked you a question in past simple, so you know to answer in past simple. That is a quick tip that often works really well. Alright, just one more thing to mention. Finally, if you want to write really good essays, then I've created this cool little IELTS essay cheat sheet, and you can go and download it at the link that I've put in the description of this video. It's really cool. It only takes a couple of minutes to download, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Okay, if you've got any questions, please put them in the comment box below. Please share and like the video if you've enjoyed it and if you think it might be valuable for other people. Okay, goodbye for now.